we basically adopted a whole food, plant-based lifestyle on December 3rd of 2011. And in 2 months, by the end of January 2012, I was off my Lantus insulin shots and all 4 of my oral medications for all of my chronic conditions. 2 months. And here I'm sick for a decade. 2 months, I'm off all my pills. In 3 months, I had lost 50 pounds. I was born and raised in southern Texas, big Mexican family, 8 children. There's 8 brothers and sisters in my family and my mother. And ever since I was a little kid, I remember my mother popping pills for diabetes. And as the time and the years went on, it got worse and worse to where ultimately she's taking insulin shots, she needs a kidney transplant, etc. And as I look back, all my brothers and sisters, all 8 of us, with the exception of one sister, have struggled or battled with diabetes. I played football ever since 5th grade, from 5th grade all the way through college until I was approximately 22 years old. And of course, in that world, in the football, tough and rough and steak, and I need all this meat for my protein, and I need, and I remember eating a lot. When I'd go to training table at the University of Michigan, they'd have all these steaks laid out. I'd have 2 and 3 in one sitting and not even think about it. But, I was a right guard. I was an offensive lineman. I weighed 305 pounds when I played there. And I had this belief that, this is what's going to keep me big and strong and healthy. In 2002, the same year my mother and my brother passed away of their medical and chronic complications, I was diagnosed with diabetes. And I was not surprised because, everything I had read and everything I believed up until that point was, it's in my genes. It's in my fate. There's nothing I can do about this. Everybody around me is diabetic. So, hey, I just need to accept the fact that I will also be diabetic. It's genetic. So I saw myself headed down the same road and same path towards amputations, blindness, heart attacks, transplants, etc. And I didn't want to go there. I was very upset. And, I had these 3 conditions, but on top of that, I also had erectile dysfunction. I developed psoriasis all over my scalp. I had heartburn very, very frequently. I was obese. I didn't sleep well. And I was just a hot mess at 43 years old. So lo and behold, we end up getting this gift from my in-laws, and the gift was Forks Over Knives, a DVD documentary. So it wasn't until, on December 3rd, we saw that documentary, and from that documentary, we found out about Dr. Neil Barnard, and we read his book, Dr. Barnard's Program for Reversing Diabetes. And those 2 things, watching that documentary, reading that book, understanding about intramyocellular lipid, the fat in the muscle cells, we basically adopted a whole food, plant-based lifestyle on December 3rd of 2011. And in 2 months, by the end of January 2012, I was off my Lantus insulin shots and all 4 of my oral medications for all of my chronic conditions. 2 months. And here I'm sick for a decade. 2 months, I'm off all my pills. In 3 months, I had lost 50 pounds. And I'm sitting here and I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happening to my life. So that's when my wife and I were very ecstatic about what we had just found, the power of food. But this big macho football, I was there. That was me. And what's amazing is all the things I've learned now, eating this lifestyle is what caused, in my opinion, based on what I see. Because when I look back, speaking of the genes again, just real quick, is it because I'm Mexican, or is it because all the foods we ate for decades and decades that ultimately led me to be diabetic and have all these other issues that we have, and my whole family? Talk about being a man, and yet you have a beautiful, sexy wife, and here you're not able to perform. It's very deflating as a man. It's not very manly when you can't, have great relations with your spouse or with your significant other. And when you realize that the foods, predominantly the animal foods, are what are contributing to most of the artery clogging, the artery clogging, you look at the vein to the privates for a male, basically it's one of the smallest arteries in our body. And so when your veins and your arteries are starting to clog, that's one of the first ones to go, right? So most cardiologists or doctors, you walk in there and say, hey, I have ED. Hopefully you would hope that they're talking about cardiovascular disease and trying to change your diet to reverse that. But I was struggling very bad with ED, so much so that I would blame the dog. Oh, it's too loud. I'd make every excuse in the book on why I couldn't perform. And in reality, it's really about my the penile artery was clogging. It was clogging because of the foods they've been eating for so long. And unfortunately, today, so many men think that they're going to go pop a pill and life is great. And unfortunately, what they're doing is masking the bigger train wreck down the road, and that's the heart attack and the stroke that are coming, right? Because if your penile artery is clogging, you can bet that all the other ones are clogging too. It's just going to take a little bit longer because they're much larger than the penile artery. So don't let your genes control your fate, because the food, more than likely, food is going to be controlling your fate more than your genes. I tell this to everybody. Look, I feel like I'm back in my 20s, back in, and life is great, and my wife and I are much happier, and I, of course, now feel like a man. A real man, I think, is going to protect his health so that he can take care of his wife, his kids, and maybe he doesn't have grandchildren yet or great-grandchildren, but hopefully so that he can be around to kick the soccer ball, throw the baseball, throw the football around. That's what a real man's going to do. That's what, to me, in my book, is manly. So Kim and I, when we launched Chickpea and Bean a little over 3 years ago, it was with that whole mindset of, we know this powerful and have this powerful information. Now we need to let any and everybody know. Anybody that's sick of being sick, tired of being tired, we've all heard the cliches, right? We need to put this in their arms because we saw what it did for our family, how it changed our entire trajectory for the better. So Chickpea and Bean has been around for a little over 3 years now. We're a nonprofit organization. And again, our mission is to educate people about the power and benefits of a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And so what we do is we do 21-day kickstarts. We hold free meetings at our public library here in Clinton Township, Michigan, where we live. And we do Food for Life classes where we teach people, that we bring them in here. We share medical information from Dr. Neil Barnard at PCRM, and we actually have cooking demonstrations as well. And there's a ton of free resources on our website at chickpeaandbean.com. There's a meetings tab, there's success stories, there's recipes, all kinds of information. And for the most part, it's all free and all out there. And if anyone is interested, please look us up. We're on Facebook. We're constantly posting recipes and information to help people try and improve their health. We have Twitter and Instagram as well. So you can find us on social media there. And again, our website is chickpeaandbean.com.